we're joined now by Juan Carlos Gomez, who is attorney and director of the Carlos A. Costa Immigration and Human Rights Clinic. Another protest held outside of a facility locally here in Pompano Beach. And of course, we know, Juan Carlos, that there are still 2,000 kids who were separated from their parents at the time that the parents crossed over illegally that have still not been reunited.
Exactly. And now you have the federal judge's order saying that children who are about 5 need to be returned within 14 days. The rest, or all of the children, should be back with their parents by within 30 days. The problem you face is that the truth is that this government is resisting. And so why is it that they did not keep better track of parent and child, in the same way that, for example, we're very concerned because you have some of these parents who are processed through the criminal justice system. You have some of these parents who've already been processed through the immigration system. So you have one agency, the Office of Refugee Resettlement, within one department. You have the Border Patrol and the Office of Chief Counsel and other parts of DHS. And then you have the immigration courts. And then yet on the other side, you have the criminal justice system within the Department of Justice. So we have quite a mess going on here.
So is 30 days a reasonable amount of time to reunite? And I think with children under 5, it's 2 weeks. Is that even possible, and is that reasonable?
They should be able to return these children immediately to their parents if they had acted responsibly. First of all, never created this crisis, but secondly, they should be able to have kept track of parent and child and reunite immediately. The same way that they separated them quickly, they should be able to reunite them. The truth is that there's resistance to the rule of law on the part of the Trump administration, but there's also resistance to just having humane laws and processing our asylum seekers in ways that the U.S. is historically known for.
How about the rule of law, though, that dictates how people may try to come into this country in a legal way, not illegally?
First, this administration is proposing legislation and has made it so difficult to legally be processed into the U.S. The second part is that we're talking about, you have individuals who are fleeing extreme violence. You have a Department of Justice led by an extreme anti-immigration activist, Mr. Sessions, Attorney General Sessions, who is creating case law that makes it extraordinarily difficult to apply for asylum from all of these countries.
But he says he's not anti-immigration, he's anti-illegal immigration.
No, no, no. Mr. Sessions, if you go back to his history in the U.S. Senate, and in 2007 when there was bipartisan legislation, in 2013 when there was bipartisan legislation proposed, he was part of the group of individuals who would not come to terms with the possibility that both sides were not happy. Compromise leads people into a difficult situation where you do the best you can. He was not willing to compromise. And now they refer to the people who disagree with him as obstructionists. No, there are many people, especially the biggest concern that we have is for the children, access to counsel. And the second part is that access to a fair process. Because think of it, if you have a 5-year-old, if you have a 10-year-old, what ability do these children have to help an attorney represent them? How are these children supposed to make it through the legal system, because there's no fair process? So if you, by the way, look at the situations at the bridges, it's similar to our situation at consulates across the world, where we are turning people away. So you shut off the door to legal immigration and you create yet one more pressure spot. It doesn't make sense. This administration really has to think of what it's doing and act like a real presidency.
All right, given that we're so close to the midterms, can we look to Congress for a solution, speaking of compromise?
No, obviously legislation failed even within the Republican Party. They don't seem to be able to come to terms to any kind of immigration legislation. And the question is, you do have extremes. You have the extreme right, you have the extreme left, but the problem is that the moderate, the lovely, practical people are not being listened to.
Juan Carlos Gomez is an attorney for the Central American Refugee Project. He's director of the Carlos A. Costa Immigration and Human Rights Clinic, and we're glad to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.